I am so happy you're back. I'm Adam Pears. This is the Pear Naked Truth, my podcast, and I turned my home into a professional studio. So you are in my sunroom in New York City, and it's just you and me here. You're my special friend. I'm your special friend. It's the two of us together. And today I want to talk about lesbians. And not just not just all lesbians. One specifically, there were probably like three big ones in my life, but this one was one that really dragged me out of the gutter despite myself. So we're going to talk about that. Watch me get dressed, and I will be right back. So today we're talking about Dean Corazon, Juliette Corazon, the lesbian that had the heart of gold and pulled me out when I was not the hooker with the heart of gold. I was fiery, and people now want to say like, oh, you really should try to like not take medication. I was like, you didn't know me. You didn't know me when I was unmedicated, or you wouldn't say those things. You wouldn't say those things. So this is me, unmedicated, 17. This is the summer before freshman year started. Cornell University had a minority retention program to help increase the attrition rates, or not attrition, decrease the attrition rates of like Black, brown, and at risk populations there, or like underrepresented. I didn't feel like I should have been there. That's like one of the things. So I had an attitude. From the beginning, I had an attitude, didn't feel like I should have been there, and there were so many things going on. So my mom had died before. It was a secret. We weren't allowed to tell anybody outside of the immediate family, and that did not include my dad. So these things were happening. I was on MTV Made, but it didn't air because of my eating disorder. So that was annoying. So I'm already like angry about that. The secret came out that now I have this eating disorder, but then the attention shifted away from me, which I didn't want it to, but because my mom was dying. So then everyone was just like, Adam, are you eating? That's fine. Great. If you don't want to go to counseling, that's fine too. So everyone kind of forgets, like, unless it's like Thanksgiving, when the relative will come up to me like, so Adam, are you vomiting still? And I'm just like, why would you ask that? Anyway, this was kind of this was my life. So this was my life. And now it's the hottest summer on record, 2005. I'm in upstate New York, and you have to walk everywhere. I walked nowhere when I was in New Jersey. To class, it may be like a mile and a half. So it's a mile and a half. It is 102 degrees, 100% humidity, and everything in your skin is just dripping into your eyes. This is where, sorry, I don't mean to screech. I get excited. This is where, when I became obsessed with sunscreen and finding these like skin products, is because I would put them to the test of like, how on earth are you reapplying? Skipping to like when I meet Dean Corazon, it has been my third write-up. Because I kept getting in trouble in the dorms. There were curfews that I wouldn't abide by. You had to shower by a certain time, and I thought that was ridiculous. And if you're not going to have air conditioning, there's no way that I'm going to shower 3 hours before I go to bed. That's nonsense. So I would shower whenever I wanted to go to bed, but then I would have to pretend like I wasn't showering because I would get caught. And so then they were like, why are you naked? And I was like, I pee naked. Like, why are you policing how I use the bathroom? Anyway, this is the third time I am now have to meet with the dean because I'm getting a talking to. And she's like unexpectedly nice. So she's like short in stature, Latina, and has like a bright voice, short haircut, and a staunch mustache that is there, and she knows is there, but has this calming presence about her. She's not yelling, she's not overbearing, but it's a solid grounding force. And I already knew that I didn't like her. I already knew. I hated because I felt like I didn't want to feel anyone's pity. I knew that she knew that my mom was dead. I didn't want to talk about that or acknowledge it or want it again. I didn't want pity. She was trying to be very understanding and wanted me to talk about feelings, and I didn't. And especially at this time, the feelings that I would feel were usually anger. Wrath and fury were just kind of my go-tos, and then it's like indignation. So and at that point I felt compelled to prove how smart I was everywhere, to everyone, that I needed to prove that I was the smartest person in the room, even if I didn't know what I was doing. I walked into this office ready for a fight, hoping for one, hoping for a fight, or an argument in some way. And I had looked up the statutes in the state when it came to what they were allowed. Anyway, I had documents ready, and I was ready to litigate my case. Uh, it's the debate team captain skills. Anyway, so but instead of being greeted with like, she didn't reprimand me. She wanted to understand like what was going on. Why do I have to shower so late at night? Was there a way like around? And I wasn't budging, but then wasn't trusting it, because I'm like, why are you being like this? Because I'm being ornery right now, and you aren't really engaging with me that way, and I'm not. I'm confused why. So that was kind of like the first. That was like the first interaction, and I walked away, and I was just like, I can't stand this woman. And then over the course of that summer, I almost skipped like a really big part. So I am getting in trouble all summer. Let's fast forward to after I'm in the hospital. So my stomach's been pumped. They have pumped 8 bottles of NyQuil up, and I'm waking up in the hospital, and I just see light, because when you've been unconscious and you're waking up, you don't know where you are. I see lights. There's just like this bright white lights, and I'm choking on the respirator that they're like now pulling out. And I turn to the side, because at first I was just like, did I die? I was like, okay, maybe this is heaven. And then I like turn to the side, and it's Juliette Corazon holding blueberries. And I'm like, oh my God, you're here. I knew I was bad, but I thought maybe I was going to heaven. But it was her. And she was the first one there. I guess she had been there all day and night. I had been in the ICU for maybe over a day. And she was there when I woke up with blueberries to greet me. And I was annoyed, embarrassed, uh, mostly embarrassed. I was just like mostly embarrassed. I'm like, oh God, I even like fucked this up. How did I do this? I can't do anything right. And so then for the course of that summer, she was like checking in on me, and I was like forced to meet with her, like meet with her and talk. And anyway, I didn't want to be there. I was acting like a bad girls club, at that point. I was just like, let me go. My brother was in DC. I wanted to transfer to Georgetown, and I was like, I don't care about this school. I don't care about you people. And these conversations. So okay, so I was in the hospital with the initial incident. There's a list on campuses of high risk students. And and ever since I was like on campus, my name had been on that list, except for like the last year I was there. And Juliette, the Corazon, congratulated me as as if it was like my birthday, And I was just like, why do you tell me these things? I know that you're trying to cheer me on, and but I just want to forget this. Anyway, but so let me get to this summer, because we're still in the summer. I'm out of the hospital, but now my name is like neon red, orange, blue on the top of this like at risk list. And I'm in at the doctor's office. And so by then I was just like, I never want to go back there again. If you have ever been to the nut house, I don't recommend. I mean, unless you like have to be there. If you have to be there, then do what you need to do. But it isn't some place that you just go to chill. And I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do that again. And I had a go bag. So just like in any of the spy movies where you have like cash, ID, things that you just grab and go, or enough. So that's one of the reasons why I love like action movies and like thrillers, because there's so much life advice and scenarios that you've never thought through that may happen to you, and you never know. Anyway, so that's when I started packing this bag because I was just like, if they're trying to take me again, I'm going to run. So during this time, I was like at my therapist's office, Randy, and I was having, and it was an emotional day, and wasn't sleeping, and she was like, you know what, I think we need to have a meeting with the psychiatrist and Dr. Anna, who's like extremely conservative, like woman with a severe bob and heavy rimmed glasses, and would like take notes the with such precision on the keys. I was just like, oh my gosh. And it's just like the clacking and clacking. Anyway, so we're there, and I'm just like, I think I'm fine. And she's like, well, I think that you need to take a rest. And I'm like, well, I can go rest, in my room. She's like, I think you need to take a supervised rest. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And I think we should just to continue this discussion when I get back. So I go to the bathroom, but no, I don't go to the bathroom. I don't go to the bathroom. So I will like walk past the bathroom and then out the fire escape. And now I'm booking it. I'm like running across campus to go get my bag. I'm ready to go to get this go bag. I'm in the dorms, getting my things, like trying to run, but they've already like called the police. So I hear sirens. The ambulance is already coming, and the RAs have already been called because they're, of course, I mean, I'm not that fast of a runner. Like they're telephones, so they were able to call ahead and have them there waiting for me. So by the time I come out of my room, there's campus police, the RAs are there, and there's a gurney with handcuffs. And then they put me on the gurney, like handcuffed, down the stairs of the dorm. And now like the kids are like out like in the hall, like what's going on, especially because they were there before when I was like taken out, like so yes, and everybody knew that was like the hot gossip. So but now I'm alert, was just running, and now I'm in the back of an ambulance being taken. I was there for 10 days. Yeah, 10 days. Fast forward, Juliet's there with my like psychiatrist or like therapist, and we're talking about my fate and like what's going to happen to me, and whether I can start school or not. And then I left school. So that was when I took my first break. So that was where so that was like when I left her. Then came back freshman year. Well, like fast forward. Freshman year was a disaster. I made it through, and but still didn't like her. I'm getting into trouble. I have to like almost every semester need her help because I also, again, just to remind you, the autism like wasn't disclosed. So I wasn't disclosing. I wasn't getting extra time, and my grades were horrible the first year. And she had to step in to advocate for me, to not be like put on any sort of academic uh, or penalty, and like write it to professors and say like, hey, there's like situation going on here, which I mean, it would have been better. I mean, I should have disclosed. I mean, but anyway, we're not going to get into that. But she would advocate for me, and I would hate it because I needed her, but I didn't like that I needed her. I think that's like the worst when you want to be independent, but you can't be independent. You want to be an adult, but I know that I'm still a child, and I just like hate that I need your protection at this time. And so I'm going to pout and be angry about it. So anyway, so she's like helping me. I'm getting into all sorts of trouble. There was the time that I was trying to get out of an exam and threw myself downstairs. There's just like multiple. There's so many things that were happening. The overdosing on cigarettes and like being carted off in a in an ambulance. There were like many things that were happening like continuously, and she would be there to bail me out, and was never judgmental, and would just say like, how do we like work through this to like help get you to like a better spot. And I left for 2 years because by the end of fall sophomore year, I couldn't keep it together anymore. The eating disorder was completely out of control. I'm passing out all over the place. Emotions unregulated, wasn't on medication, and I just needed to take some time off. So I left for 2 years and came back. And if you or someone, if you have ever been through a bad period in your life but turned it around and have such embarrassment or in shame around something, you don't want people to bring it up. You don't even want to think about it. And that's all that people saw, because for a lot of these like professionals, and in their lives, like later when I like talked to them, it was their first incident. It was their like they had just kind of started their like tenure at Cornell, and sometimes it was like my therapist. It was her first summer there, and I was one of her first clients, and I was the first one to like attempt suicide, and this was like a big thing, and I'm just like, oh, I hate that I've done this now, that everybody knows me for this, and I can't escape it. So now I'm back, um, and hold on. So now I'm back. The first time I went to the office to like go see like Juliette, it was the receptionist that that said, "I just have to say, you are much you're much calmer than you were when you left." And I was like, was I just like this animal running around town? It bothered me like how badly, not how badly, how deeply I reacted to Juliette, that I like could not stand her. Could not stand her. Every time I come from the office, I would just like yell and be like, "Oh, I can't stand that woman." And then really when I thought about it, it was I wasn't able to accept her help or accept her kindness because I didn't feel like I deserved it. Didn't feel like I deserved it, one. And two, I felt like she was validating that there was a weakness inside of me, that there was a defect, and that was the reason for her kindness. And I rejected that. Later, I realized that that was something that was my projections on. I was projecting my internalized issues onto her, and and that's something that I think that a lot of people do. When you may not believe the terrible things that people say about you, that I didn't believe that I was less than that being autistic. I didn't believe that I was less than because I was black or I was gay, but I had internalized these messages and reacted to everything from that vantage point. That I was already felt like I was under attack, even when I wasn't. And that's something that I had to let go of. And it took a very long time to do. And I felt so badly that I had been so mean to her, making fun of her mustache and everything else. When this is someone who was there for me when nobody else was. No one else was. Well, that's not true. There were, but there weren't a whole lot, and I really needed someone, and she was there for me. And I've been eternally grateful for that. Huh. That story like took a little bit out of me. I was like nervous telling you because I've alluded to things and I still didn't. I know I'm sure there are more questions than answers because that's just how I do things. But let's not forget the L in LGBT and Juliette Corazon, Dean Corazon. If you're still alive, well, I hope you're still alive. I mean, I won't put that on you. Sorry. Thank you so much. I owe you so much, and I think about you often, and that's it. So when we come back, we will talk about my favorite Pear Necessities. All right. This is my favorite part of the show where I show you my favorite things, the Pear Necessities, based off my name. And I told you I am a savant, I am autistic, and I know how to find the best of everything. And I'm obsessed about everything. I obsess about everything. And I want to tell you about my favorite sunscreen, like one of my favorite sunscreens. So it's SPF 50. Let's start there. SPF 50, a joy to put on, Supergoop Glow Oil. And the great thing about this is the oils are going to moisturize you in a way that you don't have to put an additional moisturizer on. It's also safe for self tanner. Yes, so a lot of times the sunscreen will take off self tanner. This one doesn't do as badly as other ones I've seen. Supergoop Glow SPF 50. It's this like beautiful glow. Do you see this? Do you touch the skin? Touch this. I love it. I feel sexy every time I put it on. People stop me in the streets and they ask me, where am I going? Depending on who they are, I'll tell them. Supergoop. And again, you can also find like other picks there that I love. Scamlikely.com. Supergoop oil is the one like absolutely love. Summertime must. Especially for my pale friends, but even for everybody else, because everyone wants to look sexy and glowy. Like why not? Thank you so much for coming over and hanging out with me again. Again, I'm Madam Pears. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends about the show. Leave a review. 5 stars. 5 stars, please. Anyway, you're my friend. This is such a magical moment for me, and I can't wait for you to come over again. Pear Naked Truth, scamlikely.com for everything related to me, and I'll see you soon.